Hi, folks. I hope everyone's doing great as always. And of course, if you're new to the channel, be great if you subscribed and like the videos for more and more support. That would be great. I really appreciate it. And I'm grateful to be able to have these conversations and share them with people. So it's really great. I wanted to do a video about a movie. I watched the whole thing. It's called CE5, and that is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. So there's different, and this has to do with extraterrestrials and alien contact. Now, it was a great movie, by the way, and it's full of great information. And I don't really have all the information that I want confirmed quite yet. I was able to speak to my spiritual guides, as always, but also people that were involved with this sort of thing in the government at various levels that are now, in the afterlife. And even aliens that once lived on their own planet and died and crossed over too, that you can talk to now, which is kind of cool. So it's cool to know that there is life out there. There just is. It's just such a massive universe, and the math is just overwhelmingly, projects that we're there's a ton of planets out there that just in our own galaxy, and then this place is full of hundreds of billions of galaxies. I think that's only as far as we know right now, and just millions that could support life in our own galaxy. I mean, it is teeming with life out there. It's unbelievable at various stages. It's just the universe is full of life. It's not just us. Well, to get back to the video, sorry about that. It is about, so what Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is, I forget what the other four, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and but what the fifth kind is when we humans initiate contact. I believe. Geez, I hope I'm saying that right. And then they answer back, or they respond, that sort of thing. You know what? Let me look it up real quick. Okay, I'm back. I just had to pull up the different meanings here. So, real quick, there's 5 classifications. There's Close Encounters of the First Kind, which is sightings of a UFO. Second kind means that there was some sort of effect, a physical effect, due to a UFO event, like your phone stops working or animals are, freaking out, that sort of thing. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is when there's an entity present, like the occupant, for example, of a UFO, that sort of thing. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind is abduction, and the fifth kind is actual communication between aliens and humans. So that's what this is, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And what's amazing, they talk pretty basically about some of the, man, it's really amazing stuff too. So the information that they have in here. And I have an interesting context to put forth after having all these communications with various beings and individuals in the afterlife. So what the movie says basically is that there's a way to directly contact aliens, and they will respond to you. And it's really cool. It's absolutely true. I haven't tried it yet. I want to try it out this summer. It'd be cool if I put videos up here. I totally want to try it out, and I'm going to do it, so I promise. Probably not until the summer, though. But what it is on a real basic level, to explain it, is you have to meditate and reach a particular state. It's just like a frequency. Here's a great way to put it. So reaching this state is like tapping into a frequency, a certain frequency, just like our emotions are physical, just like radio waves and television waves are physical, but subtle. They can be measured and detected. And putting yourself into this meditative state means that you are tuning into a certain frequency, putting your body into a certain state of calm and that sort of thing. And just like with cell phone lines and that sort of thing. It is this frequency that you can communicate with to aliens. It's just like, having a CB radio. I don't know if any of you remember when I was a kid, some of my friends used to have a CB radio, and we could tune into, and you could listen to cops, and you could listen to truckers and people on their boats. Anyways, so same idea, simple as tuning into a frequency. Now, they are not necessarily, just to let you know, it's like sending out radio signals. They have the technology, not all civilizations out there, but there's a lot who have the technology to tune in to this level of subtle energy. It's important to note they're not listening all the time, though. It's not like they're tuned into everything that's going in on Earth. Many of these advanced civilizations have rules and regulations, just like we do here on Earth, for non-interference and non-disturbance. That sort of thing. And there's a lot of good civilizations out there, just to let you know, which is something to be thankful for. So we could be surrounded by, or there could be a lot of negative, evil ones. But many of the really advanced, extremely powerful nations or planets that are out there with amazing technology are, operating on a good level. So not destruction or, let's put it this way. There's so many planets out there with life that can travel here, in the blink of an eye. If they were evil, they could have done something to us already. So there's many civilizations out there watching out for that sort of thing, making sure other negative civilizations, as they become aware of planets like Earth, where there is conscious life or any sort of life, to leave it alone and allow it to evolve, and then at a certain point, we'll start communicating like we are now with them, and that sort of thing. So once you reach this state, you can you just have, from what I understand, you speak out loud, and it's good to have like several people in this in a group, not only for more eyewitnesses, which is great, but using the idea of like resonance theory, like a tuning fork. If more and more people are doing the same thing, it creates a powerful connection. And if you're all on that same wavelength or frequency, it can create a greater signal, in other words. And then once you're in this state, you could just start speaking. Remember, words they're physical. They could be measured too. So at a distance, here's the thing though, it's not foolproof, and it's got, these civilizations, they have things to do too. So it's not like every guaranteed session is going to be you reach out to them. But sometimes, if you put out the signal or message and let them know, hey, we're down here. If there's any UFOs around or that sort of thing, can you make yourself visible in the sky, that sort of thing. So you have to put the message out there, and you may or may not get a response. But it is absolutely possible. And there are, if they just happen to be tuning in at that time and listening for signals and someone's nearby, these ships can travel amazingly fast. So beyond the speed of light, not just, this video talks about it a little bit. And the mechanics of how this sort of thing works, I'm still trying to understand. But basically, these things can just about travel the length of the universe in the blink of an eye. All they need are coordinates and the ability to know where they're going. And some of these places have massive technology and an understanding of how these things work, and can literally shoot from one end of the galaxy. It's pretty cool. So if there happen to be some around, or they have the resources, or they happen to be listening, and someone has the free time to send a spaceship, they may fly through the sky, and you can take a picture of it, that sort of thing, and you can even communicate with them and build up these conversations over time, which is pretty neat. So, but it's important to point that out. It's not foolproof, and it's not, they're not listening all the time. Okay, so the stuff in this video is really real, and I think it's really exciting. Now, one thing I'm still trying to be clear on too. So, clearly, like telepathy, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. It can be defined scientifically, psychologically, and it's actually literally how communication with the afterlife works, psychic abilities. So You could speak out loud if you want to, but you can. It's all mental energy. It's all non-physical energy, not just mental energy, but non-physical. So you can speak and send messages just using the power of your mind. And of course, everything in the afterlife is non-physical, so they are of that energy, and that's what they speak back to you with. So the idea of telepathy, they mentioned this too, has been explored by the government. Omnipresence, and I talk about this in another video too, about the concept of an omnipresent field of energy. Everything is connected. It's a really cool idea, and I think I talk about it in the 0-point field video. But that being said, there is the possibility to be able to use this field to explore it using your non-physical senses and being able to project yourself, kind of like with dreaming or lucid dreaming or astral projection are a couple different areas of application for the sort of thing. And the government has, not just the U.S. government, other governments too, have experimented with this sort of thing with high levels of success as well. That being said, advanced, and it's a key understanding to know how the afterlife not only exists but works, but how we can communicate with it. So there are many extremely advanced civilizations who know this, and it's literally part of their understanding of not just when we live or die, but the very basics of existence itself. And they harness this information, non-physical and physical, for their own benefit. Very enlightened in that sort of thing. That being said, there are other planets out there, just like, we have psychics here that are like government-sanctioned official organizations that can communicate with the afterlife as well, where they're trained, and of course for a variety of purposes, military, spying, covert operations, that sort of thing, or just communication and understanding, fostering the understanding, communication between their civilization and the afterlife, so people know that it's real. So there are places out there that have this knowledge and use it for the benefit of their own civilization, which is really cool. And I actually asked the other night, this is really funny because I was asking, wow, that's crazy, when I was having this conversation with the angels in particular, and had asked, wow, so there's actually civilizations out there, that harness this understanding of the afterlife, non-physical energy, and quantum everything, and unified field theory. Everything that we're trying to figure out down here, they've mastered and can apply this stuff like physically too. And they were like, yeah, and they do. And I was like, wow, can I talk to like another physical, like an alien on another planet, that has spiritual gifts, like using you guys as a medium, as a messenger? And they were like, well, sure, okay, we'll go find out for you. We'll be right back. And I was like, holy crap. So they said, we'll have to see if somebody's available, but we'll go find out, see what we can do. And I was like, well, geez, that's cool. But then I had to go to bed, so I went to bed, and then I never backtracked. So I don't know. But that's another good example there of, this field of energy. It can be used. You can communicate with others. You can communicate even on Earth once you get better at it, using or just speaking to anybody in the afterlife, and whoever can start to develop those abilities can do that as well. It's a great way to validate that this sort of thing is real as well. But the fact that there are advanced civilizations that have entire bodies and sanctioned organizations that are like experts at this sort of thing, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I don't know whatever happened with that request, but I'll have to maybe backtrack and see. But it was a pretty funny response right before I went to bed. I thought it was. So anyways, back to the video. Real quick, regarding telepathy and that sort of thing, I'm still trying to understand, the connection between our minds and physical matter. I mean, there clearly is, and there's this omnipresent field of energy. And Dr. Greer kind of talks about this. I think it's this one. He has a couple good movies. I don't know if it's this one or another one. I think it's called Unsolved or Unexplained or something like that, where they talk about this idea. and how there are civilizations out there, that also have a master, like a enlightened understanding of this, that are like some of these places are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if I remember correctly, even millions of years of. I mean, there's some ancient places out there that have a very firm grasp on the very nature of existence itself. So how this can be used practically, like on a planet, for example, I really don't know, other than furthering our understanding of the afterlife and that sort of thing. I was talking to my guides about this too, because apparently they have a mastery of this mind-body, physical, non-physical connection, and can use this practically. Dr. Stephen Greer was saying, I don't know how yet. I haven't had these conversations yet, and I don't understand that. But I remember them telling me, though, like, for example, I had asked, well, when I raise my right hand, that's my mind telling me to do that. But that's me. That's through free will. I can't just mentally think, hey, you raise your right hand, and then they do that. And that's what my guides were explaining to me. Free will and awareness is exactly what prevents that from happening. So no matter what, you hear or anything around you like that, your own individual awareness of your conscious mind-body connection, we are individual beings with free will. So there's really no way to program people. Propaganda, of course, if you're raised as a baby and you don't know anything else and that's all you know, and under threat of force and fear or lack of knowledge, absolutely that's a way to control people. But as you gain knowledge and self-awareness, you gain that power to free will, in other words, being able to understand more and act according to your own thoughts and beliefs. Not through physical threat of force or fear, that sort of thing. My point being there is about all that is I'm not quite sure how these other civilizations use this understanding of this unified field to their advantage practically. Because Dr. Greer was saying they have the ability to actually move things with their minds. I don't know if I'm a firm believer on that yet, to be honest. I mean, I know like healing is there's ways to manifest and change things that's rare and it's possible. So there is a connection there. I don't understand it enough yet, but I know there's one there. So, but that's cool stuff to explore eventually as well. So, back to this video. I think to kind of end on a summary of what it's about. So they're saying, the U.S. government, they keep this information from us. They've been studying it for decades. They absolutely have, and they have not only studied this and tried to apply it, but they have downed actual spacecraft, like took them down and then began to study them and reverse engineer them and understand how they work and have built their own versions of them. So, by the way, these alien civilizations, they do fly by and they do contact and they do land here and speak sometimes, but also they have the ability to project things holographically, which is kind of cool for reasons of safety as well. Probably because we're shooting their spaceships out of the sky. So I was talking with my guides about this too, and it's absolutely possible. If you look online, we even have like holograms of people. They did one of, I remember it was a long time ago. Okay, so originally I think this was like 15 years ago, maybe. It was a while ago. So it's probably advanced since then. But like Tupac the rapper, if you know who that is, like they did a whole concert with him, like a hologram of him. And it looked pretty real, and that was a long time ago. So if you could imagine if these civilizations are that old, he died, by the way. So, so that's why it was a big deal too, because they were able to kind of, bring him back to life, so to speak, and show him performing again. But if we could do that on a basic level, imagine what these civilizations can do at far distances. Project images of themselves to speak with you versus land here physically, or even project images of their craft flying around, ones that can even have the capability to, what's the word? survey or communicate or that sort of thing. So their grasp of physical reality is very, very advanced. And so yeah, the U.S. government. And when we look at my final point here and kind of thoughts on this video are this video and the other one Dr. Greer does, and I think there's a large consensus in general is that our government is hiding stuff from us, and this video kind of gives which is true. This video also continues to promote the idea that the U.S. government, they're hiding things, and they're not telling us everything. And this video is saying go out there and talk to these aliens directly. And it's time that we, the people took ownership of this sort of thing and power. That's actually where I stopped to disagree a little bit. So I'm not saying our government is 100% correct. We have a history of, no one's perfect, but they're to not only protect us, but there's that whole idea of good versus evil on the global stage. And America is literally the leader of democracy and freedom, and part of that collection or coalition versus, tyranny, fascism, communism to a certain degree, and versus like socialism. But good versus evil, tyranny versus freedom, oppression versus free will, and that sort of thing. So it's just been a big battle on the world stage for the longest time, and since the Cold War, and now we have China and there's Russia. So the idea to let them win and master this technology and understanding and have the ability to have superior military forces and intelligence and capabilities, we've always got to be one step ahead, because like I said in another video, if you can imagine if like in World War II and everybody was trying to figure it out too, if the Nazis had figured out the atomic bomb before we did, it would have been over. They would have used it on everybody. So there's a very, very careful protection and sharing of information. So for simply survival too. So that's kind of the way I look at it as well. So I'm not against them for keeping this sort of stuff secret. Now, as far as UFOs go, they are starting to gradually disclose this information, the reality of UFOs, and also that they've been studying them and observing them for quite some time, which is cool. I think it's great. I think humanity should be aware of that. They're releasing this in a careful manner. That's understood too, because we're still very fractured as a planet, ideologically, religiously. So if you think about it, not quite sure how the planet Earth would take this information necessarily. On one hand, I kind of disagree that it's a bad thing to release. I mean, I think it would take us all, might even bring us together to a certain point, to the next understanding of what life is, especially that we're not alone. Everyone wants to know that. But on the other hand, I do understand doing that in a careful manner. So that's understood as well. Other way, so I think this video is a great idea. But if you think about it, I mean, and they're saying the military was angry at the people in the video and that sort of thing. I get that, because if you think about it, if you're the U.S. military, and we actually have created, this is cool too. There's more and more videos I have to do about all this kind of stuff, but we've created spacecraft and we're sending them out into outer space, and we are checking out these planets and communicating with them, so we have that ability, just like they're visiting us and communicating with us. And how to put this? So again, thankfully, it's good that there are good planets and civilizations and this federation out there that are kind of at least running things in our corner of the galaxy, because or in universe, even our portion of it. Because if you can imagine, it's big stuff if you think about it, this understanding of meditation and physical frequencies and talking and all this sort of thing. And I'm sure they have rules and, to be careful about communicating and what to do and what not to do as well. Showing up in the sky and just showing their presence is kind of cool. And if they do that, that's thankful. But I can understand the U.S. government saying, look, we don't know what's going on out there quite yet. You can't just teach everybody on planet Earth how to start sending signals, even if it's done with love and good intent. Who knows what could happen? There could be the Klingons, or the Russian or Chinese version of planet Earth out there somewhere with the reptilians on it, listening and waiting for a frequency, and they could come bother you, even though they're not supposed to. It's like picking up your cell phone, if you think about it, and just start calling random people across the planet you don't know and saying, hey, how's it going? Want to come over? So I understand that, we want to be careful. We want to tread carefully because we don't know. We don't know until we understand more information and begin to explore outer space and get more data for ourselves. It's a little bit over-optimistic and a little bit naive, in my opinion, because there are bad civilizations in there. It's simple as that, and planets out there. And but luckily, again, we are there's many good ones, and that is the overwhelming kind of majority around Earth, and for quite a while. So I understand that. You don't want to just be. They're like, yeah, look, we know there's aliens. We know they're out there. We know there's a ton of ways to communicate with them. Don't tell everybody to call. Don't say, hey, everybody, come on down to Earth. So. I get that. So I kind of agree with the U.S. government. So I don't really see this video as a way to say, look, we need to free the people's minds and let them know the truth. If anything, let us know aliens are real and that sort of thing. But let's not, breach national security. Let's not be too gung-ho about it. I think it's still great. I'm still going to try it, by the way. But I think context and perspective is important. And from what I understand, like I was saying too, if these civilizations that are extremely advanced, they wanted to destroy us or colonize us or mess with us in any ways, they could have. They're actually waiting to assist us and help us. We're the ones that are kind of going out there carefully and shooting down their spacecraft and trying to figure out what's going on. And so they are have shown patience. I think they mentioned that in the video too, if you think about it, which is great. So understanding what stage in evolution we are and that sort of thing. That being said, real quick about the whole good and bad aliens thing too, though, because I did another video on this. So abductions are real. They actually have occurred. I took down that video though because I was getting a lot of information. There was one thing I misunderstood. And I'm going to do another video on this too. Abductions are a real phenomenon, and both the good aliens, and the bad aliens have abducted humans before, from taking them to research and that sort of thing. So just like we have like the UN down here, actually I'll get to the next point in a bit, but just like we have the UN down here though, for example, to regulate things on planet Earth, there's something similar in outer space. So there have been like bad planets and bad species that have come by. And it was a long, long time ago, though, from what I was told, when we were still evolving and that sort of thing, and took humans to, I don't know what completely for, to be honest. I'll have to circle back to that, but I know they were taken, abducted from Earth. Put back that, I don't know. So, but it was a long time ago before we reached a certain level of evolution. Not allowed, and those civilizations, believe it or not, were punished for doing that. So this place is very much monitored, by the way, for activity to protect it and that sort of thing. But interestingly enough, I was also told the good civilizations, for example, also have done that to us for different purposes, to study and observe and see where we're at with evolution. Abduct means without our own permission, so to take us and put us back. I find that a little bit disagreeable, to be honest. Even if they are, like the good alien, so to speak. Like, oh, we know how to do it. We'll abduct you, and then, you're sedated, and we just want to observe you, maybe talk with you, put you back to sleep. You'll never know what happened. We need to understand life on Earth. No permission means no permission. To me, I don't care if you're a good civilization or a bad civilization. Abduct means abduct, so I get the idea behind it, but I'm just not necessarily a fan of it either way. So I wanted to share that as well. One point of correction for my other videos: the U.S. government is not complicit in these abductions. No world government, from what I understand. At first I thought they were saying that they were, but the message was that they're not. So I had to clarify that. U.S. government does not allow abductions. The world governments, none of them allow for abductions, that sort of thing. When this was being explained to me, they were saying, no, they're not sanctioning these sorts of things. No, they're not complicit in that sort of thing. They don't allow for it at all, in fact. So, and there hasn't been any history of that. So when I'm getting this information, sometimes I may miss keywords, and even if they're saying, they're not involved, and I miss that word not, and I hear they are involved, I could get the entirely wrong message. So after many more conversations, I just wanted to clarify that. There's no, the U.S. government is not part of that, and they don't allow for that sort of thing. So now there have other histories throughout the world. But they do come down here on their own, and they do, aliens do speak to people and have before, and fly by the sky and communicate not just with the government but other individuals too. So communication is also real as well. But the government keeps that sort of thing. They try to control that as much as possible. Which, to bring this full circle again, exactly what CE5 is about. The ability for us to also have these sorts of communications and knowing how to do it. Fascinating video. I recommend it for anybody who's interested in this sort of thing. It's full of a ton of good and truthful information. And it really gets you thinking about the nature of life and the very idea of existence, where we're at and what we could be, and literally what is out there, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's just, I don't know, I found it a really, really cool video. I'd highly recommend it. So, thank you so much for watching again. I hope I didn't ramble on too long, but it's really cool stuff. And any thoughts or questions or ideas, any other videos you're aware of, please let me know. I'd love to watch them and learn more about this stuff. I think it's awesome. So thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it once again. If you like it, like the video, subscribe. It'd be great for more content, and thank you for the support. Absolutely love it, and I love being able to share this kind of stuff. So thank you, and as always, please take care, and we'll see you in the next video.